We are going to build a packaged, npm installable, and themeable Angular component. In the description below, you'll find a link to the GitHub repository that contains the component that we're going to be building. The description below also has a link to the written tutorial for this. And just so we can see what we're building, we're going to go ahead and clone down the GitHub repository. And this is linked, so you can go ahead and do the same if you like. So I've copied the URL, and I'm going to go ahead and clone it now. Git clone there. So we're going to pull down the workspace, and we're going to cd into big, and we're going to run npm I. And once this is done initializing, we're going to go ahead and run it so we can see what it is that we're building. All right, so we pulled down the project and we've installed the dependencies. Let's go ahead and open it up in VS Code so we can see what we're building. Okay, so here we are, and this is the big component that we're going to be building, and it's just called big component, and it's very lightweight, as you can see. And the component HTML is just this, big works. And what we're going to be doing is we're just going to be taking this text here, and we are going to apply the accent color from the theme to it, and we're just going to make it bigger. So in here, we're defining our component theme, and as you can see here, we're importing Angular material theming, and we're defining the mixin for the big component, and it takes the theme as an argument here, and then we're going to go ahead and pull out the accent color from the theme right here, and then we're going to apply it to the text contained within the fsbig element. That's it. That's all we're going to do, and let's go ahead and get to it. And just so we can see this in action, we'll go ahead and serve it up. And so this is just going to show us big works in the center of the page. There it is. And as you can see, it has the accent color from the theme applied to it. All right, so the way we're going to do this is we'll keep the clone down workspace open in a separate window, and we'll start a new workspace where we can see how to build everything from scratch. So let's go ahead and cd out of this one and then create a new folder called new. And from here, we're going to create a new workspace, and then we'll build the whole thing from scratch. And we're going to be grabbing the commands from the written tutorial. So let's go to developer.fireflysemantics.com and type in packaged component. So this is our tutorial. And we're going to go down here and find the first command, which is what we need to create a workspace. So we'll go ahead and copy that and go back to our terminal, and we'll go into the new directory, and we'll just paste this in. And this is going to go ahead and create the workspace for us. And within this workspace, we're going to create the library that we're going to be using to house the component. All right, so we're all done generating the workspace. So we'll go back here and we'll say cd, big workspace, and then we need to generate our library. So this is just ngg library big. So we can just type that in, ngg library big, like that. And this is going to generate the library. Okay, we're all generated, so let's go ahead and open this up in VS Code. Here we are. All right, so this is the initial set of component files that this comes with, and we don't need this service file, so we'll go ahead and delete that. We also don't need the spec file and this spec file. So we're going to go ahead and delete all of these. And now we're left with big.component.ts and the big module, and this is going to be our starting point. Since we deleted the service file, we also have to update our public API so that it's no longer included. So we've done that. We are also going to put the non-theme dependent CSS in its own component file. So I'm just going to go ahead and copy in this command. And this will go ahead and just create the file for us. And now we can go ahead and just grab the CSS that's going to go in there. And we'll just copy that, go back to our VS Code. This is the file, and we'll just paste that in. And all we're doing here is we're just applying letter spacing, uppercase text transform, font size, and font family to the host element. And you can see here that we're setting the font size to 4rem, which makes it really big. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and declare our theme CSS. So the first thing we need to do for this is create a directory. Theming that was that's going to house the theme, and then we'll go ahead and create index.scss, which is going to house our theme code. So we've gone ahead and created that, and then our theme specific SCSS is right here. So we'll go ahead and go back to VS Code, go to our theme file, and paste that in. And so you can see here we're importing Angular material theming, and that gives us the theme variable. And so we're going to go ahead and grab the accent color from that, and we're going to apply it to the color of the element text. And one thing you'll notice is that we put the theme for the component inside a theming directory, and we named the file index.css. And this is so that we can import the theme in a way that's symmetric with respect to the rest of Angular and how Angular does it in general. And so you can see here that we import the theme from Angular material like this. We say Angular material theming. So for our component, we're importing it like this: Firefly semantics, big component example, theming. And so the two are symmetrical. The next thing we're going to do is create the HTML template for the components. So we'll go ahead and just grab the command to touch it there. So now we have the file, and the only content that we're going to put in here is just this paragraph with big works in it. So let's go back to VS Code, open up our template, and just paste that in like that, and that's that. We've separated out the big components CSS and HTML template into separate files. So we need to go ahead and update the TypeScript file so that it reflects this change. So we're just going to go ahead and copy over the annotation like this. And voila, that's it. We are now finished with the component development. Let's go ahead and build this just to make sure that everything is the way it's supposed to be. ng build big is the command to build the library. Yep, it works. So we'll move on to the next step. When we package components inside our public API here, we're declaring that the component exports the component TypeScript and the corresponding module. But what we can't declare in here, since it's not TypeScript, is the CSS. So in order to declare that this library is going to export the CSS as well, we need to update ngPackage.json here and also package.json. So we're going to go ahead and do that next. All right, just for completeness, we're going to go ahead and add a changelog to this project as well. And let's just go ahead and create the file, touch projects big source changelog.md. And we're going to add this so that it becomes part of the module that gets installed and it's in the node modules folder. And the way we're going to do this is we're going to go back here and we're going to declare it as part of the assets within the ngPackage.json file. So we'll go ahead and copy this section in. We're here in the ngPackage.json file, and whoops, that didn't copy. There. So what we're saying here is that this source changelog is being included along with the theming file as part of the assets for this library. If we go ahead and run ng build big and take a look at the contents of our dist folder, go back to VS Code here, go up here, look inside the dist folder, we see here that it's now including the source directory. And inside that source directory, we have the changelog, and we also have the index.css theme file. And so that's now going to be packaged with the rest of the ngPackage.jar set of distributables or modules. Another thing we need to do is create an export block within package.json. And so we're going to go ahead and copy that in from here. So we need to go down here to package.json, and we'll go ahead and just put this in here. All right, so now we see we have the Sass pointing to source lib theming index.scss. We are also going to change the name of this package to Firefly semantics big component example. So we'll go ahead and copy that in. There. So the library is now ready, and when we publish it, clients can go ahead and import the theme like this. They can say @use, which is the SAS new import syntax, Firefly semantics, big component example / theming. And to test that this works, we're going to go ahead and generate a test application within our workspace. So the command to do that is ng generate application test, and we're going to go ahead and use SCSS for the style, and we're going to add routing. So we'll paste that command in and go ahead and run it. And since we're going to be using Angular material theming, we of course also need to add Angular material. So we're going to go ahead and paste that in. And we're going to say yes. We'll use the Indigo Pink theme, no to typography, yes to animations, and that's that. So in order to test this, we need to import big module into app module. So we'll go ahead and copy the import statement and go back here to projects, test, source, and go to app, open up the app module. We'll go ahead and add the import. And as you can see, we're just importing directly from big. And we're going to go ahead and add the module here. And then now we're ready to test. So let's go ahead and grab our element testing template, which is the fs big element. And we'll go ahead and open up the app component.html. Replace all of the default scaffolding that comes with Angular. And we also need to add some CSS. So we'll go ahead and open up app.component.css. And we're just going to center this on the page. And we're going to add a top margin. So paste that in. And now we can go ahead and serve our test. So we'll type ng serve -o. And there it is, big works. And when we open this, we notice something. It's black. It's not the accent theme color, and that's because we haven't added it yet. So let's go ahead and add that. So in the clone down GitHub project, we have the theme defined like this. We import Angular material theming, and then we define the primary color as matte indigo, the accent color as cyan, and the worn color as matte deep orange. And we go ahead and define our theme like this. So I'm just going to go ahead and copy themes.ses here and go back to our new project, and we'll go ahead to source and we'll just paste that in like that. Now, if you look at our styles.scss, we see here that we also need to go ahead and import Angular material theming. We need to import the theme for the component. We need to add matte core. We need to import the themes file that we just added to our project. And once we've done that, we can go ahead and define this mixin here, custom components theme. And inside this mixin, we call the big component theme mixin function and pass in the theme that we've created. And within this custom components theme function, we can also add other component theme mixins if we have more of them. And so finally, we go ahead and call our material Angular theme down here at the bottom, and then we call the mixin we just created for the custom components theme. And so I'm going to go ahead and copy all of this styles.scss here and bring it over into our new project. So we'll go and copy that in. And now we can test again, and we should see the theme color being applied. So let's go ahead and serve our application again with ng serve -o. And when it opens, we'll see that the color is applied. And voila, that is our accent color right there. So this is now ready, and we can go ahead and package it up for NPM, and we'll also go ahead and put it on GitHub. So we already have a GitHub repository for this, and we've also put the package on NPM already for our demos. So I'm just going to go ahead and walk through the scripts that we use to do this, and that way you can always add them yourself to your own project. and you'll have an understanding of how they're built. So one of the things we use is JS DevTool version bumped prompt. And this is used to bump the minor version of the project. And you can also do other version control with it, but we'll leave that for a different tutorial. The build script is just ng build big, and we're just abbreviating that to B. Bump patch is what bumps the patch of the semantic version. And the way we run that is, you can type npm run bp, and that just CDs into the big library and calls bump patch. And finally, in order to publish this, we have a P script, and what that does is it copies the top level README into the big folder, and so it overwrites the README that's already there. This way we only have to maintain a single README file. And once we have that, we can go ahead and bump the patch version for the project, and then we run the build, and finally we CD into the big folder, and then we run npm publish. So that is the process for publishing once you've published initially. But the first time we publish, we have to add access public to the command. And so the command looks like this. It's cp readme.md, and then npm run b, and then cd dist big, and then npm publish -- access public. So when we published our package for the first time, this is what we ran. So in order to test this in a live environment, we went ahead and created a Stackblitz demo. And this is actually a fork from one of the material documentation web containers that we modified. So what we did was we went ahead and imported the big component module here into the app module, and we've declared it here. And then within the template here, we've declared our component. And we also added some CSS like we did in our local demo. And you can see down here within package.json that we've declared the dependencies on Firefly semantics big component example. And so that's it for the live demo. We'll let you play around with that leisure. We hope you enjoyed this guide, and happy component developing.